It was a quiet evening in the countryside, the kind of peaceful night where the wind whispers through the trees and the world feels still. Claire, a single mother doing her best to hold everything together, had just tucked her son, Noah, into bed. His little room was filled with toys, bedtime books, and the soft glow of a nightlight shaped like a moon. Down the hall, their loyal German shepherd, Rex, lay curled by the front door, ears perked, eyes half closed, but always alert. He had been with them since Noah was a baby, not just a pet, a guardian, a silent protector. Outside, storm clouds had gathered. A sudden crack, a bolt of lightning struck an old pine just yards from the house. At first, Claire didn't think anything of it, until the smell of burning wood crept in through the vents. Then smoke, thick, black, crawling under the door, like a living thing. The tree had ignited, and the flames were already licking the outer walls of their small wooden home. Claire rushed to check the windows. That's when she heard it, a sharp crack above her, and before she could react, a ceiling beam molded and rotted gave way. It crashed down, pinning her leg beneath it. She cried out, but the fire was spreading too fast, and the hallway was filling with smoke. Noah was still asleep. Upstairs, alone, Rex sprang to his feet. He could smell it, he could feel it. Something was very wrong. The barking started loud, desperate, unrelenting. He clawed at Claire's door, teeth bared not in anger, but in panic. She tried to call to him, but her voice was fading. Rex stopped. He turned. He knew. He didn't hesitate. He didn't wait for permission. With the fire now crawling up the staircase, he did the unthinkable. He ran toward it, because upstairs was his boy. And nothing in this world, not fire, not fear, not even death, would stop Rex from reaching him. The fire was no longer outside. It had entered their world. The wallpaper began to peel from the heat. Picture frames popped off the walls, and through the wooden beams you could hear the terrifying sound of a home being. But Rex didn't flinch. His paws, already burned and bleeding, slammed into the upstairs door again and again. Each hit was a cry, not for help, but for time. He needed to reach Noah. Somewhere inside that house, the boy who once fed him snacks under the dinner table, who whispered secrets into his fur at night, was still sleeping, oblivious to the monster made of flame and smoke crawling toward him. Finally, with one last desperate lunge, the door gave in. It burst open with a deafening crack. Rex ran in. The hallway was almost completely black now. The smoke, thick like tar, made every breath feel like swallowing fire. He coughed, stumbled, but kept going. He reached Claire. She was barely conscious, her face streaked with sweat and ash. Her hand reached for him, trembling, weak. "Save him," she whispered. That was all she could say. That was all he needed. Rex looked back once, then turned toward the stairs. They were on fire. Flames licked the railings. The steps creaked and screamed under the weight of the heat. But up there, Noah was alone. Rex sprinted. Through the fire, through the pain. Every instinct told him to run away. But loyalty doesn't follow instinct. He burst into Noah's room. Smoke curled around the little boy's bed. The nightlight had gone out, but there curled up under the covers was Noah, coughing, crying, confused. "Rex," the boy reached out. And in that moment, everything stopped. Rex moved slowly, gently. He nuzzled the boy's hand, gave one soft bark, not loud, not urgent, but reassuring. "I'm here." And then, he grabbed Noah's pajama collar with his teeth. Not to hurt him, but to guide him. Step by step, Rex pulled Noah out of bed. The room behind them was turning orange with firelight. But Rex never looked back. His eyes were focused. His mind was clear. He had made a choice, and it wasn't survival, it was love. Down the burning hallway they went. Each second, a war against the fire, the smoke, the fear. A child following a dog following his heart. The hallway was collapsing behind them. Beams cracked and fell like broken bones. Paint blistered and peeled from the walls. Every breath was a battle, not just against smoke, but against panic. Noah, just 6 years old, was trembling, holding tight to Rex's fur. He didn't fully understand what was happening, but he knew one thing with absolute certainty: Rex was not leaving him. They reached the top of the stairs, but what they saw next would have broken any hope in a grown man's heart. Fire. The entire staircase was swallowed in it. The steps were glowing orange, almost melting. No path down, no way back. Behind them, flames. Below them, fire. Rex froze for half a second, not out of fear, but calculation. His ears flicked. His eyes darted. He was thinking. He turned to Noah and gently nudged him down the hallway toward Claire's bedroom. Noah coughed violently, barely able to see. "Where are we going?" he wheezed, but Rex didn't answer. He just kept moving. In Claire's room, the heat was unbearable. The curtains were on fire. The ceiling creaked and moaned. But across the room, just beyond a smoky haze there, it was a window. Their last chance. Rex raced to it, jumped up, and began slamming his body against the glass. Once, twice, crack. The third time, the glass shattered, sending shards flying out into the night. A blast of fresh cold air swept in, like hope crashing through despair. but they were on the second floor. It was at least 15 feet down. Rocks, a bush, maybe concrete. For a small child, deadly. For a dog, worse. But Rex didn't hesitate. He turned to Noah, looked deep into his eyes. The boy whispered through tears, "Are we gonna die, Rex?" The dog stepped forward, nuzzled his face against Noah's cheek, and then, without warning, grabbed the boy by the shirt collar, gently but firmly, and leaped. Time slowed. For a moment, it was completely silent. No fire, no screams, just the sound of wind and the image of a boy, in midair, held tightly in the jaws of his best friend. They crashed into a bush below. Branches snapped, dirt flew, then stillness. Noah groaned. His knees were scraped, his face covered in soot, but he was alive. Rex lay beside him, motionless for a second, his side rising, falling, rising. Then, he whimpered. His leg was broken, his fur was scorched. His breath came in short, painful gasps. But his eyes, those warm, brown eyes, were still locked on Noah, still watching, still guarding. In the distance, sirens finally screamed. Into the night, fire trucks, flashing red lights. But Rex didn't need rescuing because he had already completed the mission. He didn't wait for help, he was the help. And as firefighters rushed toward the burning house, they stopped cold at the sight. A little boy curled beside a battered dog, his arms wrapped tightly around its neck, crying, whispering over and over again, "Thank you, Rex, thank you. You saved me." The flames had finally died. The house Claire's home was reduced to a blackened skeleton, walls gone, memories burned. But through all that loss, there was something no fire could destroy. Love. Claire woke up in the hospital, bandaged, bruised, but alive. Her first words weren't about the fire. They weren't even about herself. "Noah, is he safe?" The nurse smiled gently. "Your boy is safe, thanks to Rex." Tears welled in her eyes as she turned her head and saw him up in a hospital chair, fast asleep, and next to him, lying on a thick blanket, was Rex, a cast on one leg, bandages wrapped around his ribs, and the fourth drip gently running into his paw. But his tail thumped, slow and steady. The moment he saw Claire, even now, even broken, he was still watching over his family. Word spread fast. The small town had never seen anything like it. News crews gathered. Reporters asked questions. And everywhere Rex went, people reached out with trembling hands to touch the fur of a real-life hero. Firefighters, hardened by years on the job, stood in awe. That dog didn't just rescue a boy. One of them said, he made a decision. He took action. He understood. They were right. Rex hadn't been trained for this. He wasn't a canine unit or a search dog. He was just a family pet. But when the moment came, he rose far beyond what anyone expected. And in doing so, he taught the world what loyalty really looks like. Not in words, but in fire, in pain, and in the quiet thump of a tail, still wagging beside the people he loved most. Weeks passed. The ashes of the fire were long gone. But in their place, something stronger had taken root. A story, a bond, a legend. Rex had healed slowly. His leg, once shattered, now bore a small scar beneath the fur. But it didn't slow him down. In fact, he walked a little taller now, because everyone knew. At the grocery store, at the school gates, even at the town hall, they didn't say good boy anymore. They said, "Thank you, Rex." One afternoon, a letter came in the mail. It had a golden seal. It was from the mayor's office. Claire read it out loud, her voice trembling. "For extraordinary bravery in the face of life-threatening danger, and for saving the life of a child at the risk of his own, we hereby award Rex the town's highest civilian honor." Noah clapped. Claire cried. Rex, he just tilted his head like always, as if to say, "I didn't do it for the medal." That weekend, the town square was filled. Balloons floated in the air. Cameras flashed, but there, in the center of it all, was Rex, a red ribbon around his neck, a bronze medal resting on his chest. But even as the applause rang out, his eyes stayed locked on one face, Noah's. The boy who once threw sticks for him, now stood proudly beside his hero, his savior. As the sun began to set, Claire walked over and knelt beside them. She whispered, softly, "You saved us, Rex, not just from the fire, but from everything that could have broken us after." And then something happened that no one watching would ever forget. Rex stood up, turned to the crowd, and gave a single, sharp bark. Not a warning, not a call for help, but a statement. "I'm still here." The people cheered. Cameras captured the moment. And for years to come, that image would hang in schools, on firehouse walls, even in homes, a symbol of loyalty, of courage, of a dog who chose love over fear. And as Noah grew older, whenever someone asked about the scar on Rex's leg, or the medal in the glass case by the fireplace, he'd smile and say, "That's Rex. He didn't save my life. He gave me one."